An entire country was erased from the global financial system in a single day, forcing its central bank to operate like a smuggling cartel. Today, that same nation exports over 1 million barrels daily. Welcome to Plexo. March 17, 2012. A server room in Brussels. At 4 p.m., Swift network technicians executed an unprecedented block command. In milliseconds, dozens of Iranian financial institutions lost their connection to the outside world. Bank terminal screens in Tehran flickered with red error messages as national commerce ground to a halt. No bank could send money, no oil tanker could get paid for its cargo. The isolation was absolute. The United States and Europe had decided to suffocate Iran's economy to stop its nuclear program, using the financial system as a siege weapon. The Iranian rial collapsed on markets. Inflation soared to 40% within months. The capital streets filled with desperate citizens trying to swap their savings for any foreign currency. The government faced imminent collapse because a country that can't sell its oil is doomed to bankruptcy. Yet instead of surrendering, the Iranian state decided to mutate. Authorities understood that the rules of international trade no longer applied. They needed to build a parallel economic ecosystem, dark and undetectable. Iran's central bank stopped functioning as a traditional institution and became the 21st century's largest state-run money laundering operation. The most sophisticated evasion machine on the planet had just been born. And the world took years to realize it was already too late to stop it. To survive, the regime needed intermediaries, willing to get their hands dirty. Babak Zanjani, a billionaire with a sly smile and tailored suits, stepped up. His mission was simple but colossal: sell Iranian oil on the black market, and bring the money back without alerting Washington. The most audacious scheme was executed with Turkey. The Turks needed Iranian natural gas to generate electricity, but sanctions banned payments in dollars or euros. The solution was a giant barter known as the gas for gold scheme. Turkey paid for gas by depositing Turkish lira into accounts at the state-owned Halkbank. Since the lira had no value outside its borders, Zanjani's agents used those funds to buy tons of physical gold at Istanbul's Grand Bazaar. The operation was industrial in scale. Every week, couriers carrying solid gold bars in hand luggage boarded commercial flights from Istanbul to Dubai. It was a constant flow of physical wealth flying over the Middle East. Once in the Emirates, the gold was sold for hard currency, then laundered through shell companies in Asia, and finally reached Tehran. This circuit moved over $20 billion in a few years. Zanjani pocketed astronomical commissions, amassing a personal fortune of $14 billion. The Iranian state recovered its cash flow, temporarily stabilizing its internal economy. But relying on a single intermediary was a systemic risk the regime was already calculating. They would soon discover how costly it was to trust a man with too much access and too much ambition. In 2013, the Iranian government discovered that its savior was robbing them. Zanjani had siphoned over $2 billion into his own accounts, landing him in prison on corruption charges. Iran learned a vital lesson: they couldn't trust greedy individuals with their economy's survival. Evasion had to be institutionalized, decentralized, and massive. The answer was the creation of the so-called Ghost Fleet, a clandestine armada of nearly 400 aging oil tankers, registered under flags of convenience in countries like Panama or the Marshall Islands. The tactic was a game of cat and mouse on the high seas. Each night, rusty ghost tankers turned off their satellite tracking systems in the total darkness of the Persian Gulf, vanishing from international radar. In the middle of the ocean, they transferred millions of liters of crude to other ships in ship-to-ship operations, falsifying the origin documents. The final destination of this oil was no secret to anyone. China, the world's largest energy consumer, became the perfect customer. Independent Chinese refineries bought Iranian crude at huge discounts, registering it in their customs as oil from Malaysia or Oman. Through this legal loophole, Iran exported over 1 million barrels per day to Chinese ports during 2024. Payments went through small regional banks in China, using yuan instead of dollars, keeping transactions completely out of reach of the US Treasury. The ghost fleets saved the regime. But the fact Western sanctions never published is that during that period, Iran's export volume surpassed that of several OPEC members operating fully legally. Selling oil in secret solved half the problem, but the regime still needed to move liquid capital across borders undetected. The solution came from a technology that traditional central banks hated. Cryptocurrencies offered the perfect vehicle for financial evasion. In 2019, Iran took an unusual step and legalized Bitcoin mining. The country had vast reserves of cheap, subsidized energy, making it a paradise for digital miners. Soon, computer servers humming feverishly in underground bunkers began mining cryptocurrencies day and night, turning cheap natural gas into untraceable global liquidity. It was financial alchemy in its purest form. The Iranian state forced miners to sell their bitcoins directly to the central bank, providing a steady source of digital currency that could be used to pay for imports. The scheme's sophistication reached new levels recently. In late 2025, Babak Zanjani himself, now released after returning the stolen funds, reappeared on the public scene. The businessman claimed to have designed a blockchain infrastructure for the central bank, where his platforms, ZSEX and Zedshin, processed roughly $1 billion linked to the Revolutionary Guard, and the Central Bank of Iran accumulated over $500 million in Tether. They used cross-chain bridges and anonymous wallets to send funds directly to sanctioned entities, completely bypassing Western compliance systems. The government had gone from smuggling gold bars in suitcases to transferring millions of dollars in milliseconds across cyberspace. Iran had built an impenetrable financial wall, but the bill was being paid by its own citizens. The success of this vast smuggling network is undeniable at the state level. Iran managed to evade the strictest blockade in modern history, keeping its institutions afloat and funding its political machinery. But survival comes at a devastating price. Every barrel of oil sold to China comes with a massive discount. Every cryptocurrency transfer or gold shipment requires huge commissions paid to middlemen, smugglers, and shadow bankers. The country is estimated to lose billions of dollars annually just in friction costs from this black market. The wealth that does get in rarely reaches the streets. While sanctioned oligarchs run multinational networks from luxury mansions, the domestic economy lies in ruins. The national currency has lost almost all its value in the last decade. This tragedy plays out every day in Tehran's markets, where citizens hand over huge wads of devalued bills for a simple loaf of bread. Iran's middle class has been annihilated, dragged into poverty by unrelenting chronic inflation. The resistance economy proved a country can survive outside the global system, but it also revealed that living in the shadows withers everything it touches. The state grew richer and more opaque while the nation grew poorer. Iran didn't dodge sanctions to save its people, it did so to fuel the machinery that devours them.